Chapter 128 to 131. We stopped talking and continued watching the fight between the destroyers. However, after a while the destroyers started dropping one by one, including the clown guy, till it was just an injured Beerus and rat-looking guy, though I'm pretty sure the only reason the clown guy didn't make it to the end was because he gave up halfway through. One cool thing that happened in the middle of the fight was that an elephant-looking destroyer let out a loud roar, that caused everyone including me to get stunned and unable to move. Though I managed to shake it off quickly, it still surprised me at the sheer volume of his voice. Xeno dash, I don't like it, I can't see and they're too noisy. When the decisive battle between Beerus and the rat-looking destroyer was about to take place, the Grand Priest stopped the fight. Grand Priest dash, Lord Xeno isn't enjoying the fight as it's too intense, so all destroyers will be disqualified from the tournament. The moment the Grand Priest announced that, all the destroyers looked relieved before their respective angles went down and healed them all. Once they were fully healed they all returned back to their floating stands and waited for Xeno's judgment. Xeno 1 dash, I didn't enjoy it, if the tournament's going to be like this let's just skip it and erase the universes. When we heard what Xeno said, everyone got frightened including me as I don't remember any of this ever happening in the anime, and I would like to believe that I would remember something important like this. Sage damn it. I don't remember this ever happening, did this even happen? Maybe it happened in the manga, I only read the manga after the top ended, fuck, it doesn't matter, what matters now is how the hell are we going to change Xeno's mind? Because if he decided to erase the universe right now, I won't have enough time to go back to my timeline. Seeing how everyone was being fearful and keeping quiet, I was about to give a suggestion of allowing the mortals to fight, since if I'm going to be erased you damn well know I ain't just going to keep quiet about it, though from the warning that I feel from my instincts I don't know if Xeno could even erase my soul, considering it was bathed in that being's energy. But before I could speak, a voice beat me to the punch, and the moment I heard the voice, I almost lost all my reasoning and charged from where he sounded out from, as the being the voice belonged to was Mira. Mira dash, how about allowing mortals to fight? Sage, I'll kill him. I was barely able to keep myself from launching myself toward him, but I knew doing so would most likely get myself erased by Xeno, and besides getting revenge on Mira isn't my objective, it was saving my daughter, so although I was completely furious I didn't move an inch, I just stood there staring at Mira. Xeno dash, mortals. Are mortals better? Grand Priest dash, mortals are much weaker than destroyers, which means you would be able to follow their movements as they fight, it would be like the fight between Universe 6 and 7. Xeno dash, I didn't watch the tournament. Grand Priest dash, there are currently a few mortals here, would you like them to give you a demonstration? Xeno 1 dash, yeah, show us the fight. Grand Priest dash, well then, let's have Tokpo fight and one of the mortals from Universe 7 considering the mortal from your universe started all this. His words caused everyone to look at us, or mainly Beerus in anger, before scoffing and focusing back on the arena that Tokpo just landed on. I was too absorbed in staring at Mira that I didn't even react when Beerus touched me for a few seconds before he hit me on the back of the head, which caused me to almost attack him, but I stopped myself as I realized where we were at. Beerus dash, stop just standing there and go fight him. I didn't even bother responding, I just looked at Beerus before flying to the arena as I wasn't in the mood to argue with him about fighting a weakling like Tokpo. Though when I landed on the arena I wasn't paying that much attention to Tokpo, instead I stayed focused on Mira who was on the female destroyer floating stand while wearing a dark cape, which only allowed me to see his mouth. Grand Priest dash, begin. Only when the Grand Priest shouted did I shift my eyes onto Tokpo who came charging right at me, even though I was now paying attention to Tokpo, most of my senses were still focused on Mira. Tokpo dash, so you finally decided to look at me. Blocking a punch from Tokpo, I didn't respond and instead retaliated with a punch hitting him in the stomach, though as I had my bracers on while suppressing my ki, the attack didn't do much other than force him to slide a few meters away as he managed to tap into his god ki just in time. Tokpo didn't waste any time and launched himself right back at me, and once he closed and we started fighting with neither one of us backing down, though as the fight continued Tokpo was starting to get injured and on the other hand none of Tokpo's attacks were doing any damage to me whatsoever. Tokpo wasn't one to ignore such obvious signs of holding back with how serious he is, so he flashed away, appearing a few meters in front of me. Tokpo dash, stop hiding your power and fight me seriously. Looking at him, my eyes narrowed before I stopped suppressing my power, and when I did so my ki exploded outward pushing Tokpo to the edge of the arena before he managed to stop himself. Though his actions of stopping himself were for nothing as I flashed right in front of him and punched him in the stomach before throwing him outside the arena, resulting in my win. Grand Priest dash, Tokpo has fallen out of the ring, Sage is the winner. Sage dash, tch, pathetic. I was about to fly back to my stand but I heard Tokpo speak to me. Tokpo dash, you're powerful sage, but don't think I'm the strongest. In my universe, there is someone still stronger than me, his nom dash. Sage dash, will you shut up? And I know who you're talking about, that fool named Jiren, but let me tell you something, you frog in the well, Jiren's not the only mortal with power surpassing that of the destroyers. When I finished talking, I saw a look of absolute surprise on his face as he never mentioned Jiren's name nor talked about his power, yet I already knew everything, and that caused him to get slightly nervous, as to already know about Jiren's power, yet not even looking and sounding scared meant that either I was still massively hiding my power or someone from my universe has power rivaling Jiren's. While flying back to my floating stand in anger, I could hear many of the other destroyers murmuring at the prospect of their existing mortals stronger than a destroyer, as when I responded back to Tokpo I wasn't trying to be quiet or anything, so I'm sure they heard me. When I arrived at the floating stands, I noticed Beerus giving me a side glance, before focusing back on the Grand Priest, and I didn't do anything other than stand in the back while staring back at Mira. However, out of the corner of my eye, I could also see Tokpo getting lectured by that clown guy. Grand Priest dash, the king of all has decided to continue on with the tournament, but will be changing some rules. You must choose 10 mortals from your universe to participate as gods are forbidden from joining. To win the top, all you must do is knock your opponent off the stage and the tournament will be in a battle royale style. Just as with the tournament between Universe 6 and 7, the final winner will be granted one wish with Super Dragon Balls. After everyone had digested what the Grand Priest said, a Supreme Kai from one of the stands across from us pointed out a question. Supreme Kai dash, you said the final winner will be granted the right to use the Super Dragon Balls, but will the universe that wins receive anything? Grand Priest dash, nothing, and that itself is a prize. His words seemed to have caused some confusion in everyone, though that didn't last long as he cleared up the confusion. Grand Priest dash, the universe that wins will get nothing, as every universe that loses will be erased from existence, excluding angles. The moment he finished speaking, I could hear everyone around me go into panic mode as they shouted in disbelief. Beerus dash, erased. Gohan dash, what? Kaioshin dash, erased. Bellman dash, so does that mean, only one universe will exist after the top? Grand Priest dash, no, universes 1, 12, 15, and 8 shall all be exempted from participating as the average level of their mortals is over 7. What he said surprised everyone, but it also allowed more insight into why they were getting erased in the first place. Whis dash, so this tournament is really meant to give the lower level universes that were originally scheduled to be erased a chance to survive. Grand Priest dash, it's exactly as you say, Whis. Beerus, who heard Whis' explanation, got angry and started arguing with Kaioshin about the low level of their universe, though to be honest I completely forgot about the Supreme Kai's existence just until a little earlier, and I don't mean Kaioshin's, I mean every other Supreme Kai that's currently present. I most likely unconsciously ignored their presence as Supreme Kais have never been helpful. Grand Priest dash, the top will be taking place on a special ring in the void, I will transport you there myself, so once you're ready, group up together universe. Also, allow me to state that any weapons or medicine is forbidden, anyone caught using them will have their entire universe erased on the spot. Now then, there isn't much time left, so quickly prepare yourself. Immediately when he finished talking, we were suddenly transported back onto Beerus's planet, and when I realized I was no longer in Myra's vicinity, I started taking deep breaths to calm myself, as I plan on saving that anger for Mira. Beerus dash, damn it. Even after I told that stupid idiot not to get involved with Lord Zeno, he still went and did it, and now we're going to be erased. Kaioshin dash, wait Beerus, if anything we were already going to be erased, but now with Goku's intervention, we at least have a fighting chance to survive. Gohan dash, still if what Sage said was true about there existing a mortal stronger than a destroyer, then our chances of winning are quite abysmal. Sage dash, stop acting like a bunch of cowards, since I'm participating in the tournament, do you really think any other universe has a chance of winning? Once I had calmed down enough, I interjected in the group's conversation, though that caused them to look at me with skepticism. Beerus dash, what about that Jiren guy, you think you can handle him? I doubt so. Whis dash, ho ho, I wouldn't be so sure about that Beerus, Sage's growth in power would even give you a tough time. His words caused Beerus to be slightly surprised, though it didn't last long, probably considering he already knew I had grown in power, just didn't realize I had already encroached into his realm. Beerus dash, whatever, let's go to Bulma's house and get some food, considering we might never get to eat again, besides the other 8 participants are most likely going to be there anyways. We all grouped up around Whis, who then tapped the ground with his staff, which instantly caused us to start flying through the universe. It didn't take long before we arrived on Earth, and the moment we did I shot off into the sky heading to the lookout, to spend the rest of the time in the HTC before the top. A short while later I could see the floating lookout in the distance, and a few seconds later I landed on it, though when I did, I saw Dend and Popo quickly come running out of the building in my direction. Dend dash, may I ask why you visited the lookout? Sage dash, lead me to the HTC, I'm going to spend the rest of the time in there. Den seemed reluctant at first but eventually gave in before turning around and leading the way. Den dash, follow me. After going through several different hallways and down some stairs, we finally arrived at the wooden door that connects to the HTC. Den started giving me some details on the HTC, but I didn't listen. Instead I just opened the door and went in. What greeted me was a small living area, and beyond that was just whiteness for as far as I could see, though I expected that as I've sparred with Merus in the HTC plenty of times before. I put on the heavy suit and went into the white void, though with how much my power's grown, even with the 10 times gravity I feel minimal resistance on my body. Sage whatever, I didn't come here to train anyways, I came here to master my LSSJ, or to see if it's even possible, though it should be. I'm also curious how Mira managed to get into the meeting, though I'm more interested in killing him. I didn't know where to even begin if I wanted to master my transformation, but I figured understanding my transformation better should be the first thing I do, so I transformed and stayed like that while meditating and constantly emptying my ki reserves, otherwise with how quickly I generated ki my body would explode from the pressure. I continued doing this for months on end, only taking breaks when I absolutely needed it, and eventually, after staying like this for 8 months, I finally figured out what I should do if I wanted to master it. Sage I see now, whenever I transform I always suppress the anger and rage that comes along with it, as I deemed them as nothing but a nuisance, but what I failed to fully understand was that as a legendary Saiyan, my anger is like fuel that powers me, and by suppressing that anger, I'm limiting myself of my full potential, so to master this form I must allow the anger flow unhindered within me. When I came to this conclusion everything just started to make sense to me, and I realized that while I must allow the anger to flow naturally, I should guide it like a river through my body, constantly flowing naturally but only where I want it to be, so I attempted just that. However, I decided to take it slow at first and use something I'm much more familiar with. Getting out of the meditation state, I revert to my base, and once I do all the holes leading to different dimensions that were around me started closing. Once they were fully closed, I activated Akari, but instead of suppressing the anger as I've always done, I let it flow through me while I tried to guide the anger where I wanted it. It didn't work at first, though I didn't expect it to, but I kept on trying and repeating it, until after a month of constant boring trial and errors, it finally happened. Although I lost control of it soon afterward, I was immensely happy as my theory seemed to be correct. Sage dash, yes. When I broke out of my concentration I reverted back to normal and let out a yell of joy, though a moment later I sensed someone's presence inside the HTC along with me, and considering I can't sense their ki, it's most likely either Kakarot or Vegeta. I'm leaning on it being Vegeta though. I didn't bother with Vegeta though, as I had something much more important to focus on. Once I got back into the cycle of guiding my anger like before, this time I was constantly making progress, and while most of the time it was slow, it was constant. As time passes I started being able to guide my anger for much longer, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5, 8, 12, and as the time continued to get bigger and bigger, I eventually reached a level of being able to guide my anger forever. Sage this feels wonderful. Whenever I use Akari I always felt slightly uncomfortable, but I always thought it had something to do with trying to channel my Oozaru's power into my base form. However, it seems I was wrong. I currently feel great, like I would feel when I'm in my base form. It's taken me about 2 months to achieve this, which means I have about 9 months left to do the same with my other transformation. I should be able to get it done, hopefully, and if I have some time left I should try to guide the anger I feel in my base as well. It might even help with my ki control. So I got back into my meditation position and transformed into an LSSJ, this time though I was really careful, considering I haven't had anywhere near as much practice as Akari, so it was much more likely I could go berserk, and when I felt like I might, I would always instantly revert back to base just in case. The guiding of my anger went smoother than the last time as I had experienced, but it was much more difficult to do as the amount of anger my LSSJ form created was several times more than my Akari, so the constant cycle of trial and error continued once more. Just like with my Akari, the longer time passed the better I got at guiding my anger until I eventually managed to fully keep it flowing in my control, and when I did something wonderful happened. I could feel my power increase, but I expected that. What I didn't expect was that my size, which when transformed is no longer like a towering frame full of muscles. Instead my body's size has shrunk to just being slightly bigger than usual, similar size as when I use Akari. Though what surprised me the most was that I no longer felt my transformation generate ki at an insane pace, which unfortunately means I can't get stronger in the middle of fighting, but on the bright side I don't have to worry about my body blowing up from too much ki building up inside me. Sage, this feeling of not having to constantly suppress my anger and being able to fully focus is amazing, and it seems managing to master my form has increased its multiplier slightly, though I've been so focused lately that I've lost track of time. However, since I can still sense Vegeta, that means I still have time, but I wish to know whether I have time left to do any training. Thinking that, I flashed right in front of Vegeta, who was training, and caught one of his fists before it hit my face. My sudden appearance seemed to have caught him off guard before he questioned me. Vegeta dash, do you need something, Sage? Sage dash, how long have you been in here? Vegeta, I've been in here for 7 months, curious about how much time is left before the top. Sage dash, yes, and since you've been in here for 7 months, we should have about 3 months left. Anyways, I'll be going back to meditate some more. With that, I flashed away, leaving as quickly as I came. When I arrived close back to my original spot, I reverted back to my base and decided to do the same thing with and guide the anger I feel while in my base form. The wish I had asked from that being was for a stronger mind to be capable of withstanding the anger I would feel in my base. That doesn't mean it's not there, my mind is just strong enough to completely suppress it, causing it to be almost non-existent to me. I got into my meditation position and stopped suppressing my anger. Once I did, it came flooding out like a broken dam, though the amount of anger was minuscule compared to what I've dealt with before. Honestly, I probably should have trained with this first instead of starting with Akari, but whatever, what's done is done. Sage, well, that was easy, it didn't even take a week to completely guide it, and I must say the rewards were great. I can finally control all of my ki, and now I don't have to worry about accidentally destroying a solar system when I'm fighting, let alone a planet. With me finally being able to completely control my ki, only after taking 45 years, the bracers have become useless to me now, but I've worn them for so long now that it feels uncomfortable without wearing them. Seeing as I still have some time left before I must leave, I figured I should master the control of my ki in my other forms as well before the top starts. Underscore. Currently, Frieza, 18, 17, Krillin, Kakarot, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, Tien, Beerus, Whis and I are standing in the Capsule Corp backyard, waiting for the Grand Priest to teleport us to the tournament, and it didn't take long as a couple of minutes later, the scenery suddenly changes to a giant ring with a pole in the middle situated in the middle of a black void. Everyone seeing this looks around and notices we aren't the only ones, as there are 7 other groups of people as well. Grand Priest dash, it seems everyone prepared in time, now we can start the Tournament of Power. Grand Priest dash, now to present Lord Zeno. With everyone's attention on Grand Priest, a floating platform appears right behind him with a throne on it, along with both Zeno. Zeno dash, whoa, that's a lot of people. Their appearance surprised a lot of people because if you were told the king of all was a tiny little kid, you wouldn't believe it, but seeing it with your own eyes is different. Mob 1 dash, that's the king of all. Mob 2 dash, he's so small. Grand Priest dash, now you will be granted 2 TAC OS intermission before the tournament starts, prepare. None here except for the gods seemed to know how long 2 TACs were, but almost everyone ignored it and started talking amongst their group, forming a plan or whatnot. At the same time, some other people interacted with other universes, like Frieza and Frost. Though while that was going on, I used my ki to search for Mira, and it didn't take long, as this time he wasn't hiding with his cape. Last time I was too angry to think about anything else other than killing him, but now I can see he joined along with the only female destroyer. When I looked at him, he started right back at me before looking away. Sage, I don't care how you sneaked your way in here, but I'll make you suffer. I ignored Mira after that little interaction, but I made sure I always knew his location. When I turned away, I noticed Kakarot making his way over to Universe 10, probably to go investigate this Jiren guy that was talked about, and I decided to join him as I'm also slightly curious about Jiren considering not much is known about him. Goku dash, Sage, you're coming along too. Sage dash, I'm also slightly curious about Jiren. With that, we make our way over to Universe 10's group that's filled with nothing but Pride troopers wearing their stupid uniform. I mean, the design is fine, but when everyone's color is the same it just becomes ugly to look at. Tokpo dash, what do you want, Sage? Sage, not as friendly as I remember, but then again, I don't care. Goku dash, you must be Tokpo, Beerus told me about your fight with Sage, nothing to feel sad about, Sage is super strong after all. Tokpo dash, you, who are you? Goku dash, I'm Goku, a Saiyan, it's nice to meet you. While those two were having their conversation, I walked past everyone else and stopped just before the loner Jiren, though he didn't even register my presence and acted as if I wasn't worthy of his attention, and it slightly pissed me off. Sage does he thinks that he can ignore me just because he can defeat that clown destroyer? I didn't say or do anything, I just stood there while staring at Jiren until the Grand Priest started talking again, and when he did I said one thing before walking away. Sage dash, you will know defeat today. He didn't say anything, just looked at me before ignoring me. Grand Priest dash, time's up, will everyone who isn't a participant leave the arena and head to the stands. Now allow me to explain the rules once more before the top starts. Weapons or medicine is banned, flying has been prohibited and killing isn't allowed. This is a battle royale, so to win you must be the last participant standing, and the winner gets to use the Super Dragon Balls. When he finished speaking, he snapped his fingers which teleported us to a different area of the arena, probably to separate the teams. Grand Priest dash, the top will last for 100 attacks, knocking your opponent off is the only way to win. Now the tournament of power shall begin. Right, when the tournament officially started, chaos ensued, you could hear explosions, see various key attacks flying in the sky as well as people getting sent flying around. Gohan, the leader, tried to form a plan, but most of us left before even hearing half of his idea, all of us heading in a different direction, well except for me and Kakarot. Sage dash, not so fast Kakarot, you can have him later, I wish to play with him. Before Kakarot could react, I shot a large ki blast right at him that pushed him to the opposite side of the arena. The ki blast didn't harm him, it was meant to just push him away, and he at most feels annoyed. Goku dash, Sairaj. Smirking at Kakarot's plight, I focus back in front of me and continue my charge to where Jiren is, and as much as I wish to go fight Mira, one thing I know is that this tournament isn't just a tournament, it's meant as entertainment for Zeno, and if I came across Mira I won't be holding my power back, I'll charge at him with my full strength. Sadly if I did that, the sheer volume of my ki would send almost all of the contests off the stage, and if I do that the tournament wouldn't be anywhere near as entertaining, which means I could possibly get erased on the spot. Don't forget Zeno is just a stupid child, and when do children keep their words? Sage Mira is lucky, I'll finish him off towards the end of the fight, till then I'll go play around with Jiren for a while before doing other stuff. Deciding on my plan, I finally make it to where Universe 11's group is located, and even though I still have my bracers on, no one's bothered to try and fight me. I guess this place isn't filled with mobs with no brains. Spotting Jiren easily eliminating people, I head straight for him, though Tokpo saw me and tried to get in between us, that was stupid on his part. Before he could say something, I grabbed a hold of his face and smashed it to the ground, causing slight cracks to form, before lifting him up and throwing him away in the distance. Luckily it seems my actions had caught Jiren's attention. Smirking, I charge over to Jiren before throwing a punch, which he effortlessly blocked, before striking me in the head, which I dodged while counter-attacking with a spin kick. Not only was the kick blocked but he managed to grab a hold of my leg and tried throwing me in the distance with a ki blast following right after me. Doing something I've always wanted to do but haven't been capable of because of my poor ki control, I form a green blade with my hand and slice the ki blast in half while sticking my blade into the ground to stop me from flying away. Standing up, I quickly tilt my head to the side to dodge one of Jiren's sneak attacks, but his elbow hit me right after, though before he could attack me again, I used my tail to grab a hold of his leg and pulled it, causing him to lose his balance, and I used that chance to punch him in the stomach, which sent him flying in the distance. Sage fighting Jiren should be a good warm-up before the actual battle begins.